sitting quite away from you.
Some people are so demanding, aren't they? Okay, try that. Item number 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have apologies for absence from Councillors Mann and Poppy.
Thank you. Item number 2, declarations of interest. If any of you have any declarations to make at this stage, please do so. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I declare an interest in item 13 insofar as it relates to the TAVI Helps item, being the Secretary of TAVI Helps.
Thank you. Councillor Hutton.
The same thing. I think during the time that we do need some guidance on what we should be talking about here, because there's a whole section tonight about grants in kind and things, and though TAVI Helps is obviously the one that's brought this up to a head, we are discussing the broader concept of the whole thing and whether we should be partaking in the debate and the discussion.
I think if we split out the specific aspects which relate to TAVI Helps, whilst there are some crossover aspects, we are talking about the overall policy which will be applied going forwards. And TAVI Helps is being considered alongside but distinct from those. So I don't think there is unless members feel differently, I don't think that there is a direct consequential impact which says by considering the policy here, you actually lead to a particular conclusion in relation to TAVI Helps. I think that's separate. So in terms of the overall conversation around grants policy, excluding TAVI Helps, I don't see that as being a particular issue unless any members have got strong views on the topic.
Councillor Parker.
Yes, if I can thank the Town Clerk for that, because I certainly take the view that any one of us here can point to organisations that we're members of that could be impacted by either the financial or the in-kind grants policy, and you'd end up with an empty room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And certainly my view as Mayor is that I hope that all members will feel able to take part in the discussion, the general aspects of the discussion, and then appropriate measures can be taken in part 2 when we get to the specific issue of TAVI Helps. Are you all content with that? Okay. Sorry, Councillor Johnson.
Declaration of interest?
For you or for me?
No, for me.
You go first.
Declaration of interest, budget and policy. When we come to those minutes, 211, I am a trustee appointed by the Town Council of Kingdom House, the Printworks, and need to declare an interest there. And also the Works Department report. I am the chairman of the Friends of St Eustatius, and the Works Department helped us this morning by bringing the trestle tables in for the Christmas Tree Festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I will declare myself as being an occasional box carrier for TAVI Helps. I regard that as a non-prejudicial interest, and I will remain in the chair when we tackle that item. Anything else? So the usual heads up, if you become aware of anything as we go through the agenda, please let it be known. Item 3, minutes of the last council meeting, Tuesday the 29th of October. Are you all happy that it is an accurate account of what took place? Okay, so if I move the minutes, seconder Councillor Parker, all in favour?
Carried.
And are there any matters arising not otherwise covered in this evening's agenda? Thank you. Item 4, public representations and questions. I'm advised that we have not received any, and we have no members of the public present in the room with us. Items requiring a decision. 5, general finance. A, schedule of payments. B, budget monitoring report. We're asked to consider and endorse both. Do any members have any comments or questions to make, please? Okay, in which case we have considered and we endorse. Thank you. Item 6, Budget and Policy Committee. As you are aware, the Deputy Mayor is the Chairman of Budget and Policy. I believe, Councillor Johnson, he communicated with you, and you're happy to present the minutes. Thank you very much.
I rise to present the minutes of the Budget and Policy Committee held on Tuesday the 12th of November. 207, apologies for absence. 208, confirmation of minutes. 209, declarations of interest. 210, budget preparation and preset setting 25-26. Which goes on for a while. With a recommendation that Tavistock Town Council endorse and approve in principle, brackets, subject to final consideration in December or January, subject to availability of the final tax base figures as appropriate. And then it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Did you want me to read those, Mr. Mayor?
I think not, actually, Councillor Johnson. The minutes are in the public domain, so if any members of the public would like to see those items, they're able to do so, and you've all had an opportunity to see them in your bundles. So I think we're at the stage now where the recommendation is moved.
Yep.
Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Hutton, do you wish to debate or ask questions related to this item? Okay, in which case we'll move to the vote. So all in favour, please show.
Carried.
Thank you.
211, grants to the community. It is recommended that Tavistock Town Council allocate grant funding as follows. Shall I list those? No.
So again, members, the minutes are in the public domain, and you can see the allocations in front of you. We have tried to be fair in allocating, acknowledging our previous commitment to CAB, and the recommendation is moved. Do we have a seconder, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Hughes. And do you wish to debate this? In which case, all in favour, please show.
Carried.
Thank you.
Continuation of 211, grants to the community. It's recommended that Tavistock Town Council agree an additional provision to the 2025 and future grants policy to state that only one application per year would be considered from any one organisation. And little b, agreed at the grants presentation evening scheduled for the 15th of May 2025, an invitation be extended to all town councillors to attend.
Okay, thank you very much. So little a came about because we had two applications from one organisation this year, and as the total amount requested exceeded our budget, we had to find some way of adapting that, and it seemed reasonable to limit to one application per organisation. And then to make it clear going forward, that's why the recommendation is that we add it in to the grant policy. And then the B there is because members had asked that everyone be invited to the grant presentation evening, given that it was a very good opportunity to meet with other people and to do a little bit of networking. And so that's why that's in there. The recommendation has been moved. Seconder, please. Councillor Smith, do you wish to debate it? All in favour, please show.
Carried.
And then moving over to page 6, it was recommended that Tavistock Town Council adopt the approach set out in the report, namely that, and it's listed little a, b, c, d, e, and it's clearly available in the minutes, which are available to anybody to read on the internet.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So this is trying to clarify things going forward. Councillor Mrs Ewing.
You haven't asked anyone to propose before we discuss.
I'll say. Do you wish to discuss it now?
No, you continue.
Okay, so what we're trying to do here is just to clarify things going forward, particularly clarifying the way we deal with applications for support in kind rather than as a monetary sum. And it works on the principle that we get asked for two different things, really. We get asked for a small support. That might be the hire of the town hall for an afternoon or a day or something of that sort. And it seems to me entirely appropriate that that be managed by the grants panel. And then sometimes we get asked for something bigger, like the longer-term use of council premises, either for no charge or for a reduced charge. And I think we've all agreed that that was out with the role of the grants panel and should be most appropriately managed through B&P and full council. So the clerk has very carefully set out our discussion there. And do any of you wish to make any comments or ask any questions, please? Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to recommendation C, I think there has to be a difficulty in assessing the potential value of income foregone, because that depends very much on actually what you can get planning permission for, as much as anything else. I'd just be interested to understand how that is to be calculated.
To be fair, in normal circumstances, it will actually be the booking fee, which is associated with the premises. So if it's the use of a room in the town hall, or use of the guild hall, it would just be a crediting exercise whereby we acknowledge the fact that that is... Now, whether you treat that as being the booking fee, or the cost of the facility, or the income foregone, which would have been potentially available had it been booked by someone else. Of course, you won't necessarily know whether or not it could have been booked by somebody else. That's the reason why it's there, to sort of cover both eventualities from that side of things. But it'll normally just be the booking fee, which is associated with it.
Councillor Hutton.
Thank you. Can I just try and get this clear? Is the grant committee going to be given extra money to pay for this grants in kind or not? Because you could get lots of these. Are you going to basically ignore the ones that have historically been done already? People who get sort of nominal, charged £1 for using a hut, or £1 for the tennis club or something. How are you going to allow for that? And how are you going to... Because otherwise, what's going to happen? It's a bit like at a government level, we have so much money for overseas aid, but then you discover that all the Ukrainians that are in the town are all being paid for out of the overseas aid. And it really is a bookkeeping exercise, but it does get confusing. So how is the grant committee, say something comes and somebody applies for £6,000 worth in kind, is that 6,000 immediately off the 20,000 the grant committee have got? Because it's going to cause horrendous problems.
I'm sure the Mayor may wish to add to this, but no, the way in which... So the grants at this stage, obviously, it's a member's decision, the grants budget doesn't change. What we're talking about in relation to item C is very much around a booking of the Rundle Room, a booking of the Town Hall, that kind of thing in terms of what it is. I think the example you used was what happens if someone applied for £6,000, something like that. That then falls into the potential consideration in most cases, because it's more likely to be something which is akin to a lease or a licence or something like that, which would be in the category which the Mayor has referenced, which would go to Budget and Policy Committee as opposed to the grants panel. And it would then be a matter for the council to decide how it actually treated that. So for the sake of argument, when we entered into the agreement with Tavistock Heritage Trust, originally for the use and operation of the Guildhall. That wasn't considered as being something which would be part of, if you like, the community grants budget. The community grants budget is there to cover what I'll call your typical grant applications and small use of in-kind facilities, which will be £100, £300, whatever it happens to be. And that's where that is operating from. Once you move to something which is more major, which is longer term, which has more financial implications, it becomes a matter for the council as to how that is considered and whether that is considered inside of. To be perfectly honest, I think if my understanding of where the grants panel was and where Budget and Policy Committee were, actually that will be considered separately in terms of what it is. And that's the reason why this is limited to very short-term things. You know, might be use of the Guildhall car park for a day, something like that.
Councillor Parker?
I apologise. I should have started off my previous question by saying that with my background in local government, I'm well aware of the two elements of best value. One is monetary value, but we also hold premises and property for a benefit to the community. And it often gets forgotten that we do hold property to benefit the community, where perhaps no cash does change hands. And it's entirely appropriate, I think, that the Town Council should try to find a way to accord value to those community benefits. We may change as time goes by. I've got no doubt that we will. But I think this is a really, really good start. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, please? In which case, I will move the recommendation. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Parker? Happy to move to the vote? All in favour, please show.
Carried.
£212, Pennon Shareholding. 213, Tavistock Heritage Alliance. That's the minutes.
Thank you, and we'll take the remainder of that agenda and minutes in part 2. That brings us to item 7, Development, Management and Licensing Committee. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to present the Development, Management and Licensing Committee minutes on Tuesday the 19th of November. 219, apologies for absence. 220, confirmation of minutes. 221, declarations of interest. 222, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 223, town planning issues. 224, general correspondence. 225, Tavistock Neighbourhood Development Plan. 226, urgent business brought through at the discretion of the chairman. And once I get to the next page, which sticks together, as always. 227, planning application, little a, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council, and little b, new planning applications, and it is recommended that the views of the Town Council as listed at Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration. And I move that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And a seconder, please. Councillor Venning, thank you. Any questions or comments for Councillor Smith? All in favour, please show.
Carried.
Okay. And the last one, 228, next meeting, which is on Tuesday the 10th. And as always, everyone is very welcome to come along and enjoy the proceedings. Thank you.
Okay, so now we move to items for information only, starting with the General Manager's report. General Manager.
Just a couple of items to add. People would have seen the social media coverage in relation to storm damage at the weekend to Abbey Walk. There has been an official statement that's been put out, but just to give you a further update, key clamp fencing is being installed tomorrow morning around the damaged walkway, which means we will be able to reopen the walkway tomorrow for the general public, so they'll be able to get access throughout. Obviously, following on from that, We have got a programme of works scheduled in, subject to weather conditions, which we would look to treat as a proprietary item because of the nature of works, working by the watercourse, etc., and having to liaise with the Environment Agency. In relation to the repairs to the retaining wall, we can't say it will definitely be prior to Christmas. It may fall into January because we need to find a window of up to 10 days where the weather allows us to get access in and around the watercourse to rebuild that wall. But the positive news is we're able to open the walkway again tomorrow. Any questions on that one?
I'm not aware what the accident was.
Oh.
A large tree from St John's Walk side of the river during Storm Bert was blown over and hit Abbey Walk side and took out a section of the actual main pathway. Okay. And the second item, just for information, just as good practice to advise you, even though both items fall under the £500 threshold, we are looking shortly to dispose of the old Connect and old flatbed, of which we've already replaced one of those vehicles, and we're looking to dispose of that within the next couple of weeks. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the General Manager? Councillor Mrs Ewing?
What sort of tree was it that came down?
Big one.
I know it's... What species of tree came down, please?
I'll get the works manager to go back to you on that one. I think it was an elm tree, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. So, if no further questions to the General Manager. Let's go on to the next one. The Pannier Market report. Yes, Councillor Mrs Johnson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to say well done to the Pannier Market. They always give us the details of their TripAdvisor, Google reviews, and they really are positive comments by members of the public about our wonderful Pannier Market. It really is a good news story, and I hope people and everybody here is voting for the Pannier Market in the Great British Market Awards. They've made it into the top 30, and I think the results will be known in December, I think, won't they?
I believe so.
So, well done to the Pannier Market, and it's always lovely when you go in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember the days when it used to be very cold, prior to anybody here being on the council. Used to be about 6 coats you used to have to wear, so well done.
Councillor Mrs Ewing.
I'm just going to query the closing time of 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve. I feel that is very, very late for the stallholders to have to stay open. Most places will have closed. They've then got to take down their stalls, you know, put it all in vehicles and go home. And I just think it's making the day exceptionally long when most people would wish to be with their families. And I just wonder, we don't normally stay open that late, so whether it could go to something like 2 o'clock or something. I just wondered if we could look at that.
General Manager, are you able to comment on that?
I'm sure we can discuss it at the next consultative group meeting, which is next week, but all the opening times would have been agreed in consultation with the market representatives before these were printed.
Okay, thank you. Can I just echo what Councillor Johnson said about the Great British Market Awards? Rather unusually, you can vote multiple times, but only once on any one day. So please do support the market by voting. Set your reminders to remind you every day, and encourage your friends, and if anybody's watching out there on the streaming, can I encourage them to vote for our covered market, our Pannier Market. It really is something special. It's noticeable that the town is quieter when it's closed. It's a magnet. and it's to be supported and praised. Yet another thing for us to feel, to take some pride in. Okay, so that brings us to Works Department report. Can I take silence to mean you're all
Noted.
content? Noted. Town Hall and... Oh, hang on, the General Manager.
The tree was either a beech or a sycamore. There was 2 trees that were dying at that during the storm damage.
Okay, thank you. So Town Hall and Butchers Hall report. Okay, and item 9, finance and other matters. Report of the assistant to the town clerk. Do you have anything further to add? No. So any questions for the assistant to the town clerk?
When is she going to notify when you need my autograph for the signing off of the applicants?
Oh, the closing date is not till this Friday, so
Right,
I'll be
okay.
coming out to the trustees next week.
Right, okay.
Okay. I take it that's in relation to the Jessie Ann Alford charity.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine, thanks. Anything else? Okay, notes from the Goose Fair wash-up meeting? Oh, no, he's changed his mind. Okay, it's always a good thing to do. So, Goose Fair wash-up meeting? I thought Goose Fair went very well this year, I must say. We were very lucky with the weather, but I just thought organisationally it went very well. There were no major problems. I gather there's a few niggles with the parking here and there, which are going to be addressed before next year's. So I think, again, that's something for the council to take pride in. West Devon Borough Council report. Councillor Bridgewater's... Yes, Councillor Parker?
Can I just ask a question about what it is? I noticed that the people attending, basically the town council, football lines and stagecoach. You know, things like the people like the Insurance Guild, the market, the police, AA signs and others. Sorry, and others gave their apologies. Are we to take it that they had no problems and that they are perfectly happy with what went on at Goose Fair?
For those that didn't attend, there was a number of stakeholders that provided feedback. But in relation to the overall consensus from all the stakeholders, it was positive in relation to the arrangements.
I attended several of the Goose Fair planning meetings, and the various bodies and agencies you mentioned were represented at those meetings and took an active part. Councillor Mrs Ewing?
No, I'm gesticulating that I need to speak to Wayne at the end of the meeting. I just pointed my pen to write it down. So
I look forward to it.
West Devon Borough Council report. We've had a written report from Councillor Bridgewater, but he's not able to be with us. Councillor Mrs Ewing.
Right. Sorry, I need my phone for both bits of this. There was questions submitted by Councillor Parker through to the town clerk, who forwarded it to myself and to Mr Bates, Chief Executive. I referred the matter to the lead member for housing, Councillor Renders, and to the director, Chris Brooke. And I have an answer. Right. If it's helpful, I have the following response, and I'd also add that it's very dangerous throwing housing numbers around. It gives out all the wrong signals and is premature. 1. I believe Mr Parker has taken the MPPF consultation housing numbers, less the current allocation in the JLP, and multiplied it by 10 to get a 10-year figure. On that basis, his maths is correct. So in brackets, 446 minus 160 times 10 equals 2,860 homes. What the actual housing target will be, of course, remains unknown until the government publishes response to the consultation of the NPPF. 2. I'd caution very strongly against using the current adopted plan's spatial strategy as a metric to scale up from so as to apportion any future new housing target. A new spatial strategy would be exactly that, new, and therefore is as yet unknown. Okay.
Thank you. For the benefit of other members, I asked two questions, both related to what could be expected of Tavistock in terms of housing development in the future. The government have upped, as it were, our annual requirement from 160 to 446 homes per year across the whole district. My maths were to take the existing 160 a year, take it from the proposed 446 and multiply it by 10 over the next 10 years, which is what the government are talking about. I accept that there is still some flexibility, both at government level and at the local level, in the same way that we reallocated between the three authorities when we wrote the joint local plan. But it's good that West Devon Council have confirmed that on the face of it, West Devon can expect something in the order of 2,800 new homes to be required in addition to what's in the joint local plan. The second part of the question was, if you look at the joint local plan, it has two really important objectives in terms of development. One is that the major development will be directed towards the major towns, Plymouth within the whole region, and within West Devon, Oakhampton and Tavistock. The remainder of the development, it will be sufficient to maintain the viability and vitality of the rural areas. Now, what that means in practice in the local plan is that roughly a third of the proposed development comes to Tavistock, a third goes to Oakhampton, and a third is distributed around the rest of West Devon. I was seeking confirmation through Councillor Bridgewater that that would continue to be the general pattern in the next joint local plan review. If that was so, then Tavistock can expect something in the order of a requirement for an additional 1,000 houses over the next 10 years. If that pattern is to be changed, i.e. more development targeted towards the rural areas, that will have consequences for the rural areas. If it's to be changed in favour of the urban areas, then Oakhampton and Tavistock can expect more than a third. I just think that we need, as an authority, as town council, this could be probably the most important thing that is happening in this town in the next 10 years. And I believe that we ought to get ahead of the game and at least understand what it is we're likely to be facing. That was what was behind the question, and I thank Councillor Ewings for giving us the answer. Thank you.
Councillor Mrs Johnson.
With regard to this, as I understand it, when we're talking about figures for West Devon, that does not include any of Dartmoor National Park and none of the area, what used to be the area of natural, outstanding natural beauty, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's now natural landscape.
Natural, yeah.
The answer to that is it doesn't include the allocations for the national park, which were dealt with separately. And the allocation does include the areas of outstanding national beauty, but the policies in the joint local plan and its revision will take care of that.
Councillor Mrs Ewing.
And now I might just pour something pretty lethal over all of what you've just said, because while I've been sat in this meeting, I have had a letter from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government to say that, dear colleague, further to you providing consent to the making of the Devon and Torbay Combined County Authority regulations, I am pleased to be writing to inform you that the draft regulations have now been laid in Parliament. Implementing the Devon and Torbay devolution agreement will be a significant step in making a reality of this government's ambitious agenda to widen and deepen devolution, delivering economic growth and pushing power out of Whitehall. The making of these regulations will also be a significant step for Devon and Torbay, giving you as local leaders the power to make decisions that benefit local communities in your area, boosting economic growth and driving reform. The regulations implement the devolution agreement confirmed by the government on the 19th of September. It provides for the establishment of the Devon and Torbay Combined County Authority and for certain functions of local and public authorities to be conferred on it. They will receive powers to improve the integration of local transport, what's on my screen, sorry, and control of local transport functions, and the ability to exercise compulsory purchase powers to help drive regeneration. He's enclosing the regulations, and he'd like to thank us for our support and hard work. So, yes, so that will be going ahead. There are plans already in place. For some of it, we have to have a shadow board by January. Some of the housing may be going that way to the CCA for Devon to say where it's going. So that could ride completely roughshod over everything. That bit we don't know for sure at the moment. And I'm not prepared to have an argument or even a debate about it now. So I will forward you that email, Mr. Town Clerk, but that beep you heard was that coming through.
If I may, just one brief comment, Mr Mayor, that the government's housing figures are targeted to individual local planning authorities. The Devon and Torbay Combined Authority, as I understand it, won't disturb the duties of the District Council in terms of planning.
It sounds as though we're in a watch this space situation, aren't we? Okay, thank you very much. I'm lost now. Oh, that's right. Yes. There's one, I've just been informed there's a minor error in Councillor Bridgewater's report. Second paragraph for Samford, Spiney, Reed, Sydenham, Damerel. Okay, thank you. Shall we move on to D? To receive Roman 1, any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies? Does anyone have anything to report, please? No? Could I ask Councillor Mrs Johnson a question? Are we any clearer about whether we're going to get the money to continue planning the railway from here to Plymouth?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As I understand it, I think I reported at the last meeting that we would hear in the budget. When we didn't hear in the budget, we turned around and said, well, where did we get that idea from? And we think we knew where it came from. Anyway, all the railway schemes are currently being assessed by the Department of Transport and the Treasury. and we expect to hear by the end of March, by the end of the financial year, what the situation is. So we have been working hard on it, briefing everybody that we possibly can on it as far as Tabby Rail is concerned, including the new Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mel Stride, who will know the success of the Oakhampton station, and hopefully, if he gets an opportunity, we'd like him to drop it in conversation in the House at some stage.
Okay, thank you. So we have to wait a bit longer by the sound of it. Yeah. Anything else? Councillor Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the lead member at West Devon for waste, as part of my portfolio, I'm just a little bit disappointed that Councillor Sellers isn't here tonight, because I had some questions to ask her. I have included her and the leader of West Devon and other councillors. I don't know whether many of you know that the Tavistock Recycling Centre, as from the 1st of December, will not be taking upholstered waste furniture and a number of things. And those will have to be sent to Oakhampton Recycling Centre. My concern has been, and I've raised this with Councillor Sellers, is the fact that it's called persistent organic pollutants, POP, it's called the POP legislation. It had occurred to me that if I were running the recycling centre, I would have put signs up a long time ago to ensure that everybody was aware of the changes in legislation. Because what I would hate to see is for a resident to take a sofa along to the recycling centre, be told by the member of staff, sorry, Gov, you can't, it's, you know, they're planning on putting the sign up on the 1st of December, which is the date of the change. I think that is foolish. It should have been happened before. Because what I don't want to happen is being told, no, you can't, you've got to go to Oakhampton, and then the individual saying, well, nobody told me, and the possibility, I'm not saying it will happen, I am concerned that of a couple of things. One, that the staff at the centre could be berated by angry residents, and I want to know how their welfare is going to be dealt with. And two, are we going to get a spike in fly tipping? At the moment, if it's a fly tip beside the road or within a certain distance from the road, West Devon taxpayers pay for that recovery. I'd like to know, because they haven't given sufficient notice, that whether there's any plan of them reimbursing West Devon for any spike in furniture. Only the furniture is what I'm talking about. As the lead member, I've asked officers to keep me informed, and we're going to monitor the fly tipping and see whether there has been a spike. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope I'm wrong that people of Tavistock don't berate the poor operatives down at Crowndale. But I think that we did have a reply from the officer from Devon County who said, well, we're going to put the sign up on the 1st of December, but we've got leaflets that we're giving out to residents when they arrive. I arrived there to put some green waste in. Nobody came up to me, gave me leaflets. Nobody was proactively distributing the leaflets. I had to ask someone. And they did have some, and they gave me a copy. But I don't think that communication and public engagement has been good enough through Devon County Council, and I would like the County Councillor to explain what has happened, what has gone wrong. So that's really all I want to say, but I just hope that I'm completely wrong and that we won't have a spike. Okay? Thank you.
Councillor Mrs Ewings.
Just to add to that, the people from South Hams who live in Woolwell, etc., they have to use Tavistock's amenity site. So they are going to come from Woolwell area and all that bit that encompasses using West Devon, Tavistock's amenity site, to be told that it can't be taken, it's got to go to Oakhampton, but then from Oakhampton, it comes all the way back to Plymouth, is where it gets burnt. But they're not allowed to take it to Plymouth. So there could be angry people, and Councillor Moody is quite right to be concerned, because if I had driven all the way from Woolwell, all the way into Tavistock, to get told, no mate, you've got to go to Oakhampton, to know then that it's coming all the way back to Plymouth to be burnt, but you're not allowed to take it there. I think it is a very muddled policy that actually that is where the concern lays more, is we're concerned about the staff down at the site, because they're the ones, as Councillor Moody has said, who are going to bear the brunt. And I don't want to see anybody get a punch in the face for telling somebody they've got to go to Oakhampton. You know, if it's a horrible day, horrible weather and all the rest of it, you know, it's bad enough that you've done what you're doing to get there, but to be told no and then find out it comes back to Plymouth is pretty shocking. I don't know why they will not allow them to go into Plymouth for these items only. I'm not saying they need to go there for everything. That's a debate for the Devon Waste Group. And there is talk about integrating waste more. So there aren't these silly boundaries that you have to abide by at the moment. So we can only hope, but it is a genuine concern. It is nothing against the County Councillor. Councillor Moody sent his email to me outlining his concerns, and we had the reply from the officer, which I don't think Councillor Sellis was too thrilled with either, that it is just like, well, so what?
Mr. Mayor, just as a final thing, I've just been reminded. The one thing, and to be fair to Devon County, they have been advertising it on Facebook and on social media. I've been sharing as much as I possibly can. I've also raised it myself on my own personal site and shared it throughout all the Tavistock ones, and I hope everyone else does. But it's just the fact that I think that putting a signage up a long time ago would have helped matters a lot more.
Yeah. Well said.
Okay, thank you. So, feedback from members following their attendance at any training sessions? Nothing? And item 10, communications submitted by the Mayor. I have none. Urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the Town Mayor. I have none. So that concludes part 1.
Move into item 12, public bodies, exclusion of press and public.
Thank you very much. So we're now going into part 2. Could we close the door, please?